So anyway, I was all like, oh my god, I don't know why these things keep happening to me. I'm just
Hey,
me, you know.
hey, kids, over here. Hey, kids, do you maybe want to buy some drugs? Stories? Drug stories? This story will make you want to try out things, and this story will make you feel good. This story will make you fall in love. And no, we don't talk about this one, this is the worst one ever. Have you ever seen those old TV commercials from the 80s and the 90s where they make weed look like, well, it's the worst thing that could ever happen to you? Growing up in the Netherlands, which I like to think is a relatively free country, these things always really looked so ridiculous to me. And especially with weed, you hear a lot of foreigners always say like, oh, you come from the Netherlands, do you smoke weed? What is it about? And how easy is it to get? And these type of questions. Well, it's not that legal here, it's more like it's decriminalized actually. If you do walk the streets with weed on you, or if the police will see you or something, they will probably not really do anything. But legal wise, you can have up to 5 grams on you and they won't be able to prosecute you or anything, you will just have to hand it over. The same goes for home growing. You are allowed to have up to 5 plants from a certain size at your home. And if the police comes to take those plants from you, they can also still not prosecute you unless you have more than 5. I know what you're thinking, what about all the coffee shops in the Netherlands? I've been to Amsterdam and blah 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 blah. Nope, still not legal. The deal with coffee shops is that as long as they follow a tight set of rules, the authorities will have to leave them alone. This is something the Dutch call gedoogbeleid, which literally translates into toleration policy. Which basically means, well, we'll just look the other way. In my opinion, it makes more sense to actually legalize it. We are still running on old marketing principles and we're slowly fading away by legalization in countries such as Canada. Besides that, it would probably bring the government a lot of money to legalize it and actually put taxes on it, because the sales in coffee shops right now, they don't pay any taxes over it. Why is that, you ask? Well, because of the European Union, basically. I guess because the rules prohibit any European country to make drugs fully legal, we are still stuck here. Anyway, that's about it concerning the legal, boring stuff in this country. I hope you maybe still learned something though. Drug stories! I want to tell you about my experiences with drugs because, well, even with weed, I also had some bad times actually. And I think it's good for everybody to know about the good and the bad sides without being too judgmental about any of them. So, when I had my first real girlfriend named Jojo, no really, we actually used to call her like that. So I was in love with Mojo Jojo when we were about 16 or 17 years old. And she had this younger brother that we will name Bob. After Mojo Jojo and I broke up, I had my first real heartbreak, and man, was it heavy on me. My mind was going all over the place 24/7, thinking about her with other boys, images, words, and overflow of information that I couldn't stop and hurt me bad. But besides that, me and Bob were actually getting a bit closer as friends. And one night I came over to their house and he was like, "Yo, want smoke weed?" After which I was all like, okay. So there I was, standing in the garden, never even touched a regular cigarette before, trying to follow up on instructions to get smoke in and out of my lungs. Shortly after, we went upstairs to play some Guitar Hero on this old small TV, and I had no idea what was going on anymore. Bob's dad came home and walked upstairs to say something to us, and I had no idea how to act like a normal human anymore, so I was just kinda spaced out, staring at him, nodding a bit and trying to make sentences. I'm not sure what happened the time after that, but flash forward a year and I was suddenly into weed. I wasn't heartbroken anymore. It took me just over a year to get over Mojo Jojo, and I learned a lot about how crazy sensitive I was. When I really started smoking, I discovered for myself that the effects of weed made it a lot easier to deal with life and to put stressful thoughts at ease, making me more blank and able to enjoy things instead of getting stuck on me feeling blue. Damn, I loved how good food tasted while having the munchies, or how amazing music sounded. I love how good loving things felt. It suppressed the negative emotions a bit and made everything beautiful more beautiful. It gave me more control over my life. At first. A few years later I would be sick to my core, but that's a story for another episode. So I became known as a stoner to most friends and to people I didn't know alike. The typical angsty teen who was rocking out at his room, living what some would call the best years. I met some good friends, like this girl who was always coming over to skip parts of her back then shitty life or school, and she became a bit like a sister to me then. I asked her if we could use her real name and it was fine, so we will just call her Zoe. Besides all the cool times, we were hanging out on my balcony, smoking. There's one day in particular that I remember. At my mom's place I had a dog named Shadow,
Woof.
and me and Zoe went to take Shadow for a walk. Shadow had a playmate named Choco. Choco was a dog from the spare-looking guy who sometimes stopped to talk to me. He always came across a bit as an ex-junkie, but he was generally a nice guy. This particular day he came to me and said, "Psst, I thought I would see my buddy today, so I brought you this," and he handed me a joint. Me, slightly confused, accepted it with gratitude. Now I have to say, I could handle quite a bit back then, and Zoe smoked with me as well plenty of times. But this joint, ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Christ. Zoe had taken one puff from it and she almost fainted, blacked out on the grass. Pun intended. I took 3 hits from it and I had been stoned after for a whopping 8 hours, in which time I created my first painting that I ever sold for a decent amount of money. The buyer was Mojo Jojo, ironically. It turns out the guy homegrew his weed, and his amnesia strand probably contained way more THC. Well, still thanks for the experience, presumed ex-junkie guy whose name I've never even knew. Oh, before I forget, for all you stoners out there, I added a list in the description that shows you places around the world where it's acceptable to smoke weed. Enjoy. For more drug stories, political debates and 100 other different subjects, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to. Also there's a Facebook and an Instagram and blah 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 blah. No, but really it would help me out a lot.
Bye.